The next tool we're going to dive into is NotebookLM. You can access this by going to notebooklm.google.com. You may come to this page first, and you're going to select Try NotebookLM. NotebookLM allows you to use AI, but the answers from the prompts that you'll be putting in are all going to come from materials you put in. And you can create new notebooks to help with your resources and planning. We're going to hit Create New. In here, you can upload a file, you can insert a link, you can paste text here, YouTube videos, websites, your drive, whatever you need. I'm going to upload a PDF. I have a large PDF that I'm not going to sit down and read. This one is on AI guidance. After we upload this, we're going to get a nice little robot here. It's going to briefly explain what it is. We can add notes, get an audio overview, and what's really neat is they now have mind maps. As we click on this, we'll see that it's generating that. You can also generate study guides, FAQs, timelines, whatever you need. And you can add as many resources as you would like. So if you're planning a lesson and you have lots of videos, PDFs, worksheets, you can add all of those. And anytime you ask a question, any responses you get will only be based off the information you have put into NotebookLM and not the whole web. Now that our mind map is ready, we'll click on it and we can see all of these different options. And we can go right here to Library Media Specialist and it'll take us into the content for those Library Media Specialists based on our mind map. You can download this. You can make it bigger again. Let's see what else we got here. What is the purpose? Digital learning coaches. So once we click on online, virtual, and remote learning, it'll say discuss what sources say about that topic there. So as you see, you can use the mind map to jump to the information that you need because of course it's a very long document. And now my favorite part about NotebookLM, you can generate little podcasts. So if you're planning a lesson and you know the students might struggle with paying attention with this lesson, put all your resources in here and then generate a podcast for them. It'll actually have two voices explain the content. It may take a minute for that to load and create that for you, but you don't have to stay on this page. While we're waiting on that podcast to load, let's create new with one of our lessons. First, I'm going to add a YouTube video. I'm going to put the full URL there, insert, and we have a YouTube video about landforms. Let's add some more resources. I think I have some PDFs saved on my computer. Let's add those too. Here we go, landforms. And we can add some more resources as well. I'm going to add a link to a National Geographic site on landforms. I've also added another site on how the mountains can affect the water cycle. We can generate a podcast here too. Let's also take a look at a study guide and maybe an FAQ. All right, and here is our study guide. We've got quiz questions, answer key, different vocabulary, and all of these can be converted into a Google Doc for your students, where you can just upload them right to your classroom. If you want an FAQ for your students, what is a landform, definitions of what the major types of landforms are, and so much more. And if you want to modify that, you can enter prompts. Explain how the water cycle is related to landforms. And the response we get is going to be based off the information we've uploaded. And you can always add more resources as you go on if you'd like. And now we can see that we have our types of landforms podcast here. Let's take a listen.
Dive. Today, you and I are really getting into the landscape around us, the actual shape of the planet.
Yeah, the landforms, mountains, valleys, all that stuff. It's fascinating when you start looking closely.
Definitely. We're talking about everything from huge mountains to vast plains, even what's under the sea. And it's not just, naming them.
Right. It's about understanding the incredible forces that actually create these features and how they affect us, how they affect ecosystems.
It really changes how you see the world, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Realizing there's this massive geological story written right onto the surface.
A story told in rock and soil. It takes a while to read, though. Millions of years.
So let's start with the basics.
And we can select this interactive mode option and ask questions. Hit play, join.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you and I are really getting into the landscape around us, the actual shape of the planet.
Yeah, the landforms.
Oh, wait. Someone wants to join. Hey, go for it.
Are these landforms all over the world or only in the United States?
Oh, that's a great question. Definitely not just the United States.
Absolutely. Landforms like mountains, hills, plains, they're found across the entire globe.
Think about it. The Himalayas are in Asia. The Andes run down South America.
And our source even mentions Mount Everest in Nepal as the highest point on Earth,
So, yeah, these features are a fundamental part of Earth's surface everywhere.
which is what makes studying them so fascinating. The same processes are at play worldwide.
Okay, so let's start with the basics then, keeping that global perspective in mind.
Right, our sources point to four main types, the big categories.
You've got mountain.
We can download this for our students. If they're speaking too slow for you, you can change the playback speed, or you can delete this and generate it again. And again, if you ask questions outside of what these resources are, it will not be able to give you an answer. Now, let's take a look back at our AI one. So again, since this document was so much longer, the podcast is 19 minutes. Let's take a listen.
Welcome to the deep dive. Artificial intelligence in education, it's generating, well, a ton of buzz.
It really is. Hard to miss.
And if you're like me, you want to figure out what this actually means for schools, for learning, without getting totally bogged down in the really technical stuff.
Right. Keep it practical.
Exactly. So that's what we're tackling today. You sh Welcome to the deep dive. Oh, hey, our listener wants to join in. What's up?
Is this guidance for K through 12 teachers?
That's a great question. Yes, this guidance brief is definitely intended for K through 12 education.
Absolutely. When you look through it, it talks about principles for incorporating AI in learning experiences for students of all ages in that range.
And it also considers how AI can impact school efficiency across the board, from district operations to classroom instruction.
So whether you're teaching kindergarten or senior year, these are ideas to keep in mind.
Exactly. It's designed to be a foundational guide for anyone involved in K-12 education in Kentucky and, honestly, beyond.
Welcome to the deep dive. Oh, go for it.
Is this guidance for the whole world?
That's an interesting question.
While this specific document comes from the Kentucky Department of Education,
I feel like the principles they're laying out really could have broader relevance.
absolutely, think of it as a starting point.
A model, like we were just saying,
Exactly. Other states or even countries could look at this.
and adapt these ideas to their own educational systems.
So, while it's not for the whole world in a direct sense,
The thinking behind it is definitely something that could be shared.
it really is. Hard to miss the bigger implications.
And if you're like me, you want to figure out what this actually means.
Right, keep it practical for our schools and learning.
Exactly. So that's what we're tackling today.
You shared this really interesting document.
The AI guidance brief from the Kentucky Department of Education.
Yeah, the KDE brief.
Think of this as our shortcut to understanding the essentials of AI in schools.
A way to navigate this new territory.
Absolutely. And this brief from the KDE,
It's a pretty smart piece of work.
its value, I think, goes beyond just Kentucky.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the document itself says it's aiming to lay down some fundamental principles.
For using AI ethically, responsibly in education.
Okay, so it's like a model, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. A really useful blueprint.
For any district, or really anyone trying to make sense of this.
This whole evolving landscape.
So zooming out a bit then, what's the main goal here?
For the KDE, with this guidance,
What are we trying to achieve as we explore this together?
Our goal really is to get under the hood of the KDE's perspective.
Okay.
We want to look at their reasoning
Unpack the key principles.
and understand the practical side of things.
So I'm going to go ahead and pause that. We don't need to listen to the full thing, but you can kind of get an idea of how you can interact with this and bring your lessons to life for your students. Now, again, your students won't have access to NotebookLM, but you can use these tools to create a fabulous lesson for them. And all of your notebooks will automatically be right here. And you can share these as well. So if you're working on a team, you can hit share and you can give access to your fellow teachers. They can view, edit, whatever you need. They can have access to the full notebook, just the chat only. If you want them to have access to the materials you've created, you'll want to do full notebook. And keep in mind, NotebookLM is relatively new to Google. They're always adding more things, and there's so much you can get into. When you begin using NotebookLM, they've created this Welcome to NotebookLM notebook for you. You can deep dive into this. You can ask chat questions about using NotebookLM, and it has all these features here. And again, you can create a podcast for yourself and listen to what Google says about NotebookLM. Thank you for joining me while we take a look at how to use NotebookLM.